And what we learn from that is that the same way we have families, the same way we have friends and lovers, and we all share a herd, a family, a concept of unity, so the stars do the same, and we call them constellations. So these gods and goddesses were these families teaching us how to deal with certain conflicts in our family, friends, lovers, and helping us become one as we grow in those aspects. The first initiatic path that they designed was related to the I am, and how the I am is spread in different concepts of this reality. So we had to go through the aspects of the universal being in order to set ourselves in practice of how to find balance in this path. This path was divided in 12 steps, and these 12 steps were along rivers or along islands, and we had to follow them by doing a practice within. So 12 steps that we had to integrate in our own self through our chakras. And in our own body, we divided the chakras in 9 levels. As for the initiatic path, were 12 steps. The 12 steps that we have to take were starting in the equinox of Aries. So the constellation of Aries was talking about the I am. Who am I? What am I doing here? So the 12 concepts that we have to integrate, to practice, and to assimilate, and also to transcend along our whole life, where I am, I have, I communicate, I feel, I can, I analyze, I balance, I desire, I see, I use, I know, and I believe. These 12 steps of our life were taught in each one of the temples and pyramids around the world, not only Egypt, but all the designs and systems that were around the planet. The idea of this path was to live the life of the gods and goddesses, and if we accomplish the whole steps, we would be able to access the Olympus, the life of the divine. But in order to do that, we had to integrate this divinity inside of us. So as we walked outside, then we had to walk within. So inside of our body, we had these 9 chakras that they were teaching us how to unlock them by going from the feet to our head, from the head in the crown to our feet. And once and again, we were going through these portals to assimilate information. We had to work the I am in each one of our 9 levels. We had to work with the I have in each one of our 9 portals. So by doing that, we created a system of activation, a system of to access the divine, to access the information of the cosmos. We had to repeat the 9 portals many times until we could integrate the whole system. Actually, for the Atlantean culture, we had to take at least 3 times every one of the 12 temples, every one of the 12 steps. The first one would be for our bodies, so we could work in our subconscious. We needed to transcend the idea of who we are in order to get into the information of the everything. So the body represents the memory that goes beyond our persona, our individual, so we could access the data of our ancestors, the tree of life, the planet, nature, the cosmos. So the first step would be for the subconscious. 12 steps through the 9 chakras that took us to understand the subconscious of our body. The next step that we have to give were the 12 steps of the I am, again, but for our soul, which is the task of the emotion. What energy do we have? How do we move related to others? What is the emotion that we have in each one of our chakras? So going through each one of the 9 steps, we designed the 12, the path of the 12 constellations for the soul, in which we had to relate with other lives, the memory cell, how do we feel, and how do we use the energy and the potentiality that we have inside in order to create in the outside. This one was related to the unconsciousness. So the unconscious was the 12 steps to learn how to handle emotions in our own body. And after that, the last 12 steps path was for the mind, for the spirit. So it worked the consciousness. This consciousness was to discover the spirituality within us, was to discover the information that we keep inside of us, the knowledge, the wisdom that is kept in our insides, and that we have to share it to others, with others, and to the world. The idea was to unlock the 3 types of consciousness so we can create a triangle that represents coherence. And once we do that, we can reconnect inside the pyramid with the 4th consciousness, which is the omniscient, which is the divine. So we could connect with all the dimensions through the shape of the tetrahedron, and we could connect with all the divine, with all the existence through every dimension by being coherent in these 3 stages of the 12 steps throughout the 9 chakras of our body, opening each one of the doors that are inside of us. And for that, one of the things that we had to learn, it was how to talk to the universe. So the masters created a language based in this system. Each one of our chakras represented one vowel, and each one of the steps of the path represented a consonant. So we had in our language 36 consonants and 9 vowels that helped us to connect through this initiatic path. What we did with that was to create mantras for each one of the steps. Like, for example, being the first step, going from the crown in the origin of the subconscious, the first step of I am would be letter M, the sound ma, and the crown chakra being A. So the word ma or meant the origin of the being. The letter A is the spirit that opens the door, ma. The letter M represents the gate, the door through where the spirit is being born. So that's why the first word that they designed for this language was ma, which is I am. The origin of the verb I am is the sound amma, which is the spirit that goes through all the doors to find itself. The language, the sound, was created because we understood that the entire creation, the entire reality, was based in vibration, one of the laws of the universe. So we needed to understand how to resound, how to pronounce the words to open specific information in this initiatic path. That's why we use talk, singing, prayers, mantras, spells in order to access this information. And that's why the technology of Atlantean civilization was sound. We used our inside, our inner growth through the initiatic path in order to access the right frequency in order to manifest and create new realities. This is how we managed to build pyramids, to transcend this reality, to communicate with nature, to be able to understand the mathematics of the cosmos just by singing. Accessing the information through sound, it was a hard work. It was not about learning how to sing. It was about learning how to understand oneself. So we needed to go through each one of the emotions of our deepest and darkest memories, know how to handle them towards the light, to put clarity on it with consciousness. And once we found coherence in all of that, we could connect with the divine and speak with the divine the same language, just by singing, by speaking, accessing what we call the alchemy. So the alchemy of the being would be to follow the lines and the structure of the universe through the rhythm of vibration, accessing what we call today the quantum physics. This is why I think it is important for all of us to remember what it is an initiatic path. Because it's not only to learn something about yourself, it's about knowing how to become divine and how to access the ability to transform the matrix, to transform the patterns, and to create realities. As many more people is connected to this information, is connected to the path to transform your own reality within, the most people will be able to transform the reality outside. Right now, we are just following a few people that are aware of themselves. And sometimes these people that are aware of themselves, they are not light beings. They are also dark beings, because consciousness is not about good or bad. It's about neutral. So a lot of people follow some people specifically because they don't know how to follow themselves. And the goal of the initiatic path was to allow everyone to find a way to communicate directly with the source without the need of someone else in the middle. So by just following a specific path, steps in this initiatic path, what we can do is to access our own language, our own way of communicating with the universe, our own way to receive this information, and also our own magic on how to transform our own life and reality. When I was 12 years old and I started to remember the language of that life, I had no idea why or what was the goal of me understanding that language or how to write it. For me, it was just a decoration in my room. But lately, when I started to understand the logic of the mathematics and the geometry in the frequency of the universe, I figured that there was a specific reason on why there were specific letters connected to specific consonants and how it all unfolds information. So I started to use the frequencies, the singing, to open doors in that geometry, and that enables me to access more information. I started to understand the connection between different mountains and continents and cultures just by pronouncing specific words and just by seeing the different lines connected by this frequency. So I started to play with my hands along my own energetical pattern, and I was able to access a specific information that helped me to unlock new understanding, that helped me to teach others or to share with others more information that I couldn't access before. So a lot of the things that I have done until now, they were not because I sat down and thought about how to do it or created a project working like a normal person, but I actually used to go or inside a pyramid or on the top of a mountain, and there, by breathing, accessing with sounds and vibrations to all this network and allowing my subconscious to move around without thinking about it, just resounding, and that enables me to see the patterns and where to go, what to follow, how to do it. So in my own life, I've been using this in order to accomplish all the missions that I am trying to do, which is reconnection of this network of consciousness. And this is what I want to share in these next classes that I will give step by step, going through the 9 chakras to understand the system of how these doors of this inner door, these inner portals can open doors to the entire reality, and how from our own selves we can transform the everything. Acknowledging that we all are part of the universe and we are just simply fractals of the whole creation, that gives us the understanding that we are all potentials of the Creator, which means that we all have the chance, the possibility to access this data by ourselves without the need of others. We all are able to channel, to receive, to amplify, to awake these potentials and to do these kind of things. But we have been taught along our life that we are supposed to do only one thing, or we shouldn't do this, or we should act in a certain way. So we are like blocking these potentialities that we have since we are born. And not all of us should do it in the same way, because each one of us is unique. Each one of us has a perspective, a specific point of view of the entire sphere of creation. So it's not that we all have to do exactly the same or follow the same doctrine to do it, but each one has its own specific way to find that divine within. So what I'm sharing and what I can teach is just one tool or one idea on how you can find your own. And everyone can access this. Everyone can do it. You just have to find your own way. You just have to follow how others have been weaving that until you find your own way to weave your network. By accessing the information that I will share, you will just have a map, not a specific way in which you should do it. This was my way. This was the way that I found through my memories, through my own inner wisdom and knowledge of what I remember from the universe. And this is what I'm sharing, my own specific way and my own side of the sphere. So this knowledge should be used as a map and not as a truth. Should be used as a way for you to find your own way to understand and reconnect with this information. All information is waved in the universe by sound and vibration. So whenever we need something from the universe, we have to tune ourselves to that same frequency. And that's what we call resonance. So sometimes we don't resound with something because we don't need it for our own process. But if you resound with something, it's basically because your inside is needing some of that data for your own process. You never resound because it's true. You resound because you need it, because you're linked to it. So if you are resounding right now with what I'm saying, maybe the information that I'm going to share to you is going to be helpful for your own process and your own song.